2, 1.
Welcome to the Tuesday, October 11th, 2022 meeting of the Long Meadow School Committee. School Committee and other public bodies may continue to hold remote meetings through March 31st, 2023 under new legislation enacted in July of 2022. The statute, Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, extends quorum reductions for remote meetings. All votes, while there is remote participation, must be made by roll call vote. This meeting is being recorded and aired live on LCTV. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will begin with correspondence, and the following correspondence was received by the committee this week. A memo from Mr. Donald Jarvis, Director of CTEC, dated October 4th, 2022, regarding the Walter E. Quigley Jr. Student of the Month Awards for September of 2022. Long Meadow students honored were Hadley Beaumont for Advanced Manufacturing 3 and Jack Belvo for Health Assisting 2. Moving on to approval of minutes, we have a motion.
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the September 27th, 2022 school committee meeting as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will turn to a vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie? I'm going to come back to Julie because I'm not 100% sure she's here yet. Oh, wait. Yes?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Hello. Sorry, I thought I saw you. Yes? Sorry. Can you hear us okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Yes on a vote? Yes. Okay. Zach?
Yes.
Thank you. Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me. Thank you. All right, moving on. We are welcoming today the Student Advisory Council, working with Ms. Heidi Drowick, the Assistant Principal at Long Meadow High School, and you guys developed an agenda for this portion of the meeting, so we will turn it over to you all.
All right, so unfortunately, the other members of my committee cannot be here at this time, so I will fully present. So
Thank you.
on club and activities report, start off with the student activities night, also called the Lancer Way, headed up by Ms. Drowick herself. Amazing event, great turnout of 200 students, and all students who had participated had received a free ticket to the football game that night. That was the first home opener for just football, so it was great attendance at that, and then great attendance at the athletic event. Sock drive this week going on, being shepherded by Linda Helping Hand Club, which does a lot of community service work for underprivileged people. And they're doing a sock drive now. This is a class-on-class competition, so there are boxes outside the main office where students can drop in their socks, and hopefully, obviously, the seniors will have an overflowing box, and we will be winning. But I can't wait to see the rest of that competition unfold, and those socks will be given after the competition to the Springfield Rescue Mission. Key Club is hosting the Halloween Spooktacular on October 29th, so kiddos in the elementary school grades and maybe a little bit of middle school can show up to that and get a piece of candy, have a great time throughout the high school, and I believe a flyer has already gone out to the elementary schools. Moving on to class activities, class of 2023, the senior class, hosted Senior Sunrise, which was a huge success. Beginning week of school, the senior class had a great turnout, probably around 30 people. Got out early, like 5 a.m. to go watch the sunrise on the football field. Eat some Dunkin', have some great fun, great pictures. So that was a huge success. We're also planning the senior class play, which I have it on good authority from the planning committee that they are moving forward, and they will have a decision out for us soon. And we're also planning our Powder Puff game. So that is when girls in the grade will create teams, and then some of the football captains, being myself, will be coaches of the Powder Puff, and they will have a nice little flag football game before the Thanksgiving football game, which can be a great time. We have a lot of fun. Class of 2024, the junior class is playing an all-school dance, playing that as like a homecoming dance. So which is really gracious of them. Instead of just planning, just something for themselves, they decided to bring the entire school in on it, and that was That was really great of them. So thank you to the junior class. Sophomore class are playing sophomore lock-in. That's their biggest event of the sophomore year. They're doing a cookie dough fundraiser, so be on the lookout for that. And they're also doing an apparel sale. So I think they're really focused on fundraising so they can move forward throughout high school with those big events like lock-in and prom and all those big events. And then freshmen, they had their elections for their class officers. So they're really just trying to get their feet on the ground, see where they're at, where they can go from there. And then for athletics, flip the page. There's so many. Football is 2-3. Girls volleyball is 8-4. Field hockey is 6-1-1. Don't tell them about that tie game. They're not having that. Boys soccer is 4-3-1. Again, don't tell them about the tie game. Girls soccer is 7-1-1. They are out currently on the field right now for their senior night. So good luck to girls soccer. And then some other notable champions that were not named on Max Preps, but I know they're doing a great job this season, is golf, which is a co-ed sport, and then boys and girls cross country. I know we have some cross country parents in here that love that sport and love that program, and I know they're doing great. And then finally, for upcoming events, we have the chamber concert on the 26th of this month. The chamber concert is students who have planned pieces or done pieces of music, practice them on their own, and want to showcase them in a concert setting. So if you guys come on over, you will see some great student performances by a lot of my peers in the music department. I know you'll have a great time. Pottery Club night is going to be happening on the 19th for faculty and students. So I don't know much about Pottery Club. I'm assuming it has something to do with pottery. We'll see. I'll be there. And then parent-teacher conferences will be on the 20th. So parents, have fun. Students, watch out. All that good stuff. And that is all I have to report at this time. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Open that for questions or other comments related to this. All right, thank you very much for coming by. Appreciate
Sure,
it, Ms.
thank you.
Drowick. Thank you, Dagan, for taking that for your group.
Pleasure.
All right.
Oh,
we-
Ms. Drowick, did you want to quickly tell about the event that happened on Friday?
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Just occurred to me, it was super cool, so.
There you
So
go.
on Friday, we took 7 of the SFAC members to our first Western Mass Association of Student Councils conferences. So 9 students ranging from our incoming freshmen to our juniors. We bus shared with Minichog to decrease the cost of the busing because the transportation is quite expensive. We went to East Hampton High School. There were about 10 other high schools there, so our students were able to get some ideas starting to percolate in their minds about what they'd like to do. From that discussion, not only do we have an all-school dance being planned, but also an all-school spirit week. So instead of a class having a spirit day or a spirit week, all the school's going to do the spirit week. So the seniors have a great idea for their day, and then we're going to end the week with Lancer colors, so we'll be black and white the last day, and that's going to lead into our homecoming dance that night. So I think it's going to be a great way for the school to come together. The students in this committee, they keep talking about unifying the classes, so I think that's going to be a really powerful impact that you're going to see threaded throughout the year. So it was a great conference. The keynote speaker, the kids are still puzzled on how he did it. He looks at the psychology of nonverbal communication to identify what you're communicating. So it was talking about being present in the moment. He called out a couple kids who were on their cell phones, not our kids, but it was about being present in the moment and how the communication and messages are really illustrated through what you see and what you hear. So it was a great time, and we got back, so some of the kids who missed tests on Friday were still able to make those up before they went home for the day. So it was good. So no one really missed anything, but we added a lot to our toolbox for student leadership. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. O'Shea,
Yeah.
for letting us go, and it was a good time.
No, appreciate you bringing
Yeah.
that opportunity to our kids.
Yeah.
Heidi that brings a ton of experience engaging student leaders with the wider state Student Leadership Association. So thanks for opening those doors to our kids. It's great.
It's great. I can't wait to see what the kids do with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
That's wonderful.
Nicole.
Thank you so much. Appreciate hearing about that. Thanks, Rick. All right. We are going to move on to visitor comments. If we have any visitors who would like to speak. Do not see any.
Nope, seeing none.
All right, we will move on to school committee announcements and recognitions. Anyone who has anything to offer? Oh, Janet, go for
You
it.
can always look my way, but,
I love that about you.
thank you, Nicole. So, Dagan, your enthusiasm is infectious, and I love it because I am going to talk about the cross-country teams. Just left there. They were having a cross-country meet at Minnechaug, which is my alma mater, so it was hard not to cheer for, well, we did end up cheering for everybody, which is my whole point of sharing, is that so, I know that all of the athletics and all of the teams, and it's such a great, spirit around here. But I just wanted to point out at the cross-country meets, like, everybody's cheering for everybody. And it's just such an amazing, we were cheering for Chaw, we were cheering for Chicopee, we were cheering for Longmeadow, and, runners that are coming in with different times and different abilities. And it was just... every time we go, it's a beautiful feeling, but tonight it was just especially. There were some runners who were just they were all giving their hearts, but these particular runners, and everybody was just cheering from the sidelines. And I know sometimes running isn't seen as like the sport of sports, but the hearts are huge, and I just wanted to bring that up. And again, I appreciate you mentioning the cross country teams, because it was a beautiful, beautiful thing tonight in the community that's built around it. And I see Mary all the time at the meet, so thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Any others? Mary?
So I did not plan to say something about cross-country, like in cahoots with Gianna, but I actually wrote it on my list. Because I wanted to talk just for a moment about our Parks and Rec program. We have a really wonderful town program for cross-country. And it's so well run, and it's such a dedicated group of volunteers and parents. And the kids have started competing, and they have over the years been competing in away meets, but there was recently an Amherst meet over the weekend. Both elementary and middle school students were involved in a meet in Wayland. That's a really high quality meet, very well organized, very well run, lots of competition. And the reason that I wanted to bring this up is because those values that Gianna was just talking about, the cheering for the last kid who comes in, there's hundreds of kids in these races, and one of the races was ending. The finish line was at the starting line. All the next kids were lined up for the race, and then that last kid rounded the bend, and the crowd went wild. It's just really, I get like, oh, you're so happy for these kids. So it's a very joyful sport. And the other thing I wanted to mention was Longmeadow Days is another wonderful community event that's back, and we saw so many of our Longmeadow students and families. The weather couldn't have been nicer, and it was just great to see everybody out in town.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other comments? All right, we are going to move on. We have no business with guests tonight, which brings us to administrative reports. Dr. O'Shea, kick off with you.
Certainly. A few items for you tonight. We are still actively preparing for the town meeting on October 25th at 7 p.m. The town has issued the warrant, and that's available to you if you want to take a look. We have a couple informational forums lined up for tomorrow, one during the day, one at night, and then there's the town manager is sponsoring a warrant information session on October 19th at 6 o'clock, so that's another opportunity for folks to learn about the importance of town meeting on October 25th. We continue to work closely with the town manager's office on the MVP grant. That's the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant. It's a significant grant, and I'm appreciative of that. There's so many entry points for our students to be involved with that grant, including most recently an opportunity for 2 students to be identified to serve on the town's long-range plan steering committee associated with that grant, so thank you for that. We, just before your meeting tonight, we completed a meeting of the DEI Advisory Council and had an opportunity to welcome Mr. Abdullah Galayini. He's the new DEI coordinator for the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative, and he had a chance to introduce himself and talk a little bit about his work and how he will serve the member districts. We also had a very interesting visit from a former Long Meadow High student. Michael Back graduated in 2018, just got out of Harvard in the spring of 22, and has done some really interesting research on the history of Black and Indigenous peoples from the area, and has a really sincere interest in finding opportunities to weave his research into some lessons that are happening in Long Meadow Public Schools. And so Michael has already made some connections with many of his former teachers, and so we're excited to kind of give him some opportunities to show off what he learned while he was off in college at Harvard. So he's done some great work. Tomorrow, the Safe Routes to School program kicks off with International Walk, Bike, Roll to School Day. And so parents and staff and community members will meet at Bliss Park at 8 o'clock and walk to school with the Long Meadow Police Department. And it's really part of the town's multi-year effort to promote safe routes to schools. There's a grant that will allow for the reconstruction of some sidewalks and some bikeways in and around Blueberry Hill School and Bliss Road. So we anticipate that that work will begin happening next year. So we had, sadly, the community of Amherst dealt with the tragic death of a cross-country runner at a meet in Ludlow several weeks ago. And it has sparked some really important conversations in Long Meadow around our preparedness to respond to emergencies, medical emergencies at athletic events. And so I have been in contact with Chief Dearborn and Chief Stocks and Principal Landers. Will be meeting in the very near future to talk about our readiness to respond to athletic emergencies, and also to talk about whether or not we could put in place some global safety training for students or student athletes at Long Meadow High. So stay tuned for that. But the tragedy has created an important opportunity for us to talk about our readiness if we ever needed to respond to an athletic emergency. And then tomorrow also, tomorrow's a busy day. We'll also be participating in an MSBA-sponsored roundtable on local ballot questions. So it's important that members of the school building committee and members of the administration understand the do's and don'ts when it comes to public ballot questions. And so we'll learn more about that at an event sponsored by the Mass Office of Campaign and Political Finance. So that's tomorrow. And I'll finally put a plug in for November 5th is the Leaf Gala. November 5th at Twin Hills Country Club. I think it starts at 7 o'clock. Tickets are available. And we're always happy to support the Long Meadow Educational Excellence Foundation. They've provided literally over $1 million to Long Meadow Public Schools in the course of their existence to fund programs that enrich and provide creative learning opportunities for kids. So thanks to LEAF, and we hope that is a well-attended event on November 5th. And that's all I have.
All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Yep.
Questions or comments related to that, Jill?
Oh, sorry, I should have
No,
waited
no.
for you to say that. Superintendent, so thanks for all that. Is there, and I should probably know this, so I apologize, is there a list of who's on the diversity, equity, and inclusion?
There is.
Task force.
I'll go back and make sure I shared with you an email that's gone out to the DEI team. So originally I envisioned it as a smaller group of 8 or 9 individuals, but there was such a response to when I put it out to staff and community about whether or not they'd like to be involved in this work that I've started to sort of reimagine that committee to really capture all the talent and the interest and the energy that exists around this. So all are welcome, basically, on the DEI Advisory Council. I've got a mailing list of about 25 or 30 individuals who want to stay connected to that team. So we're thinking of how we can really make sure that it is a working group and task-oriented, so that it's not just a periodic meeting where it becomes an echo chamber of agreement. We want to make sure that we're really using the DEI Advisory Council to move our work in this area. So
Thank
it's a
you.
big group.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
listen, more the merrier on that group.
More the merrier, right.
And then can I do a?
Yeah, of course.
The athletic emergency response, so thank you
Yeah.
all for that, because it's definitely a tragedy that resonated, especially after
Yeah.
last spring's tragedies. There was talk with Principal Allen from Long Meadow about, Timmy's,
Yeah.
the CPR. Is that involved with what you're talking about?
It is, yeah. We've thought about, we're only in the idea and talking stage at this point, so we want to do something that's practical and safe and manageable, but, is there some additional sort of life safety training that we can bring to student athletes, or perhaps even the wider student body at Long Meadow High? So
Yeah.
we've been thinking through that, and the Timmy Strong Foundation has expressed an interest in supporting some of that work as well. And they've even, I think, furnished us with some additional AEDs, is that correct?
CPR.
CPR equipment?
Mannequins.
Mannequins, yeah. So,
Okay, yeah, just because I know that some parents from the Long Meadow cross-country team had reached out to, so I just want to make sure that y'all are,
Yep.
Aligned there.
In conversation, yeah, for sure. Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
Mary?
On that same topic, do we have portable AEDs that go to, like the cross-country meets that are not on-site, or, yes, we do?
Yeah,
Okay.
you wanna,
Yeah, I believe there's 2 at every cross-country meet, and then we have, I believe, another 5 or 6 that we rotate through the teams, and then the trainer has one on her cart. So we give them to the coaches for their, in season. We rotate them through each season. So yes, we have 7 or 8 for athletics.
Thank you.
one of the activities that we're also involved with right now is just assessing the sort of the medical response kits that our trainers and our coaches carry with them to all athletic events. So that's part of the inventory that we're taking right now to see if we have all the right equipment to respond if we ever needed to. So.
Nice.
Just on the ADs, there are 3 located. There's one on the stadium field, one on Russell, and one at the tennis courts. Leave them out till about Thanksgiving, and we bring them in and put them back out there. And cabinets on the fence, and I believe on the
Okay, I have
hut
seen them,
over
but
at the
it
tennis
was
courts.
empty at the time, but it was probably winter.
Yeah,
And so,
we'll
okay.
take them in so that they
Okay,
don't,
that makes sense.
the elements don't destroy.
Yep, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Other questions or comments? All right, moving on to Assistant Superintendent reports. I don't see anything at the moment. No? All right, School Committee Chair report, a little bit of overlap with you. Just another plug for the Leaf Gala coming up on November 5th. Great event, and as many people as can be there. It's a wonderful organization that has provided so much support for the schools over the years, and always happy to give them support back. Also a reminder that we have a couple of fun family and community-oriented events coming up at all 3 of the elementary schools over the next few weeks, so keep an eye on emails there for younger families. And last but not least, just early reminders again about the town meeting being on the 25th. That's 2 weeks from tonight at 7 p.m. As a reminder, we'll be meeting on the Monday night prior to that. So anyone who would like to tune in and or visit us here, our meeting will change to Monday the 24th at 6:30 here. The town meeting on the 25th at 7 p.m. The Long Meadow High School Key Club has generously worked to put together a babysitting opportunity, and that will be available to families with younger children at Storrs Library. Emails went home to families in town, so if you have not yet seen that, check that email. There is a sign up. You need to register register in advance so that they can know how many people are coming and be prepared. And then also just a plug for the informational meetings that are coming up. We have 3 more in the weeks leading up to this town meeting. And if anyone has any further questions and/or is not able to make a meeting, don't hesitate to reach out to anyone in the schools, in particular Dr. O'Shea, or any of us on the committee. Happy to talk about the planned agenda items from the school perspective. So, all right, thank you. Student representative report. Dagan, you're up.
I have nothing to report.
Okay.
I've said I've.
You got your stuff.
Yeah.
With the earlier advisory council.
We'll be good.
All right, awesome. Other reports, LPVEC, Mary?
No report.
No report. Energy and sustainability is, Kevin, I don't see a note about a report. Am I correct? There is no report.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And SEAL, Special Education
SEAL,
Alliance.
yes, it makes me smile every time. Special Education Alliance of Long Meadow is having their second meeting tomorrow, October 12th. It is virtual at 7 p.m. and you can check SEAL, SEALMA.org for more information on that, or you can reach out to me at my school committee address, and I'm happy to share more information, connect you with the SEAL leaders, but SEALMA.org. Look for more information. Their meeting is tomorrow night, and it's about learning about the IEP process. Again, you don't have to have children requiring special education services. It's just, if you just want to grow your awareness about all of the different abilities, special abilities of our kids. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. That sounds like a good one, very informative. All right, moving on to subcommittee reports. We're going to start with Finance Subcommittee. Jamie, I think we've got a couple of things on the agenda.
Yep, you want to take them?
Happy to, thank you. Good evening. Finance Subcommittee met on Wednesday, September 28th. We had another conversation in regards to capital. They provided us some feedback and some direction, so we anticipate we will meet again to bring forward a list for the committee's consideration to submit to the town manager sometime in that first week in November. And then, as Nicole mentioned, there are a few items on the agenda for your consideration tonight. The first are 2 building use requests. The first is from 4Run3 for use of the high school and access for the bathrooms for a 5K run on November 25th from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. The run is in honor of the life of Katerina Boskovic, and any funds raised will go to the fund that has been established in her memory. And then the second is a request from the Wolf Swamp PTO for use of Wolf Swamp for their annual road race, Turkey Trot, which is on November 26th, and the request is for access to the building from 8:30 to 12:15. The Turkey Trot is an annual event that they've been holding for 12 years, and the committee has authorized use of the buildings, the use of Wolf Swamp for that event. I'm happy to answer any questions any members may have in regards to those 2 requests.
All right, I will entertain questions and/or motions. Mary?
I move on the recommendation of the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee approve the building use request from 4Run3 for the use of Long Meadow High School on Friday, November 25th, 2022 for the 5K 2-mile run. This motion, you say that part.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? I'm curious, can you speak to the additional notes or comments that are on this application? Is there anything that we need to know regarding that?
There was some, I weren't sure whether or not they were looking to use the building at first. They thought they might just rent Santa cans for a day, and in the end, they've opted to access the building for bathroom use. So
Okay.
that's what the discussion back and forth was when they initially requested.
Gotcha,
The permit.
okay, so that's been sorted.
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Any further questions or discussion? All right, we will move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me. All right, moving forward, we have another motion in front of us.
I move on the recommendation of the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee approve the use request from the Wolf Swamp Road School PTO for use of Wolf Swamp Road School on Saturday, November 26, 2022 for their annual turkey trot.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? We'll move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well.
The next item on our agenda is a memorandum outlining the FY23 grants that the district has been awarded so far. Each year around this time, through Finance Sub, we bring forward a list of the grants and the awarded amount for the fiscal year. Finance Subcommittee reviewed them and recommended that the school committee approve them. You basically would be accepting the award amount as outlined in the memo. Once that occurs, we will then have to revise the budget reflective of the award amount. Each year when we build the budget, we use the award amount from the previous year, anticipating that it'll be somewhat close to the amount that we received in the previous year. So we then revise it once the actual award amount comes in. Most of the grants are recurring grants. The superintendent, I believe, mentioned earlier that the drug-free community grant, we just completed the 5th year of that grant cycle. So we were up for a renewal and we were successful. So we will have that for another 5 years at the $125,000 a year,
Nice.
which is great
Wonderful.
news.
All right, we have space for a motion or discussion.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, Gianna.
Thanks for all this, Tom, and for everybody that was involved with securing all these grants or reissuing. Is it close to where we were last year?
Yeah, it's close. I would say IDEA is probably a little higher than the amount that we were awarded.
Okay.
And Title I is probably a little lower than the amount that was awarded in FY22.
Okay,
The rest, I would say, are close, very close.
okay. That's a good thing. That's a good,
Yeah, it's a good thing.
okay. Thank you.
All right, Mary?
I move on the recommendation of the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee accept the FY23 grants as specified on the FY23 grants memo dated 9/28/2022.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gianna. Any further discussion? We will move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me. One last one.
And the last item from Finance Subcommittee is they reviewed a list of subsidiary accounts that are used in the student activity accounts for the 2 middle schools and the high school. Each year we bring forward a list of the different subsidiary accounts that will operate and or any that are becoming inactive because they are no longer in use, and request school committee through the Finance Sub approval of those subsidiary accounts.
All right. We have any questions or a motion?
Okay. I move on the recommendation of the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee authorize the student activity sub-accounts as listed on the Long Meadow Student Activity Sub-Account Authorization List, updated 9/28/2022.
Thank you, Mary. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
We
Diane.
just need to edit it to the document is actually dated the 23rd. I
Oh,
didn't
whoops.
catch that.
So I would
amended?
like to amend my motion. Should I read the entire thing again?
think
Just
so.
to change the date to 9/23/2022.
We have an amendment. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We don't need to do the thing, we
No,
vote on the amendment too,
we'll be
right?
good.
Okay, just double checking. All right, questions about the motion? All right, let's move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach? Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. All right, is that all from Finance
It
Hub
is,
for tonight?
thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on. Policy and curriculum subcommittees and evaluation subcommittee do not have any updates at this time. Gianna?
Diane, can you make you give us a policy subcommittee meeting, please?
I'm sorry.
Can I?
A policy sub
We
on
need to
the
have
books.
policy sub, and I know that I messed it up last time,
Okay.
so I'm asking you to
Can I
help
make
me help
you
you.
make a policy sub?
Thank you, Diane.
All right, wonderful. Any other requests for subcommittee meetings, or they're all sorted? Okay, fantastic. Building Committee Development Subcommittee, the fantastically named subcommittee. Since our roster for the school building committee has been established and submitted to the MSBA, this ad hoc committee can be disbanded at this point. So as such, we will not have another meeting of the subcommittee, which means that we have been given the opportunity to approve our minutes here in this meeting with the whole committee present. So we have 3 meeting minutes that are in front of us from August 2nd, August 31st, and September 7th. And there is a motion available if anyone would like to take that. Go for it, Mary.
Okay.
Thank you.
I move on the recommendation of the School Building Committee Development Subcommittee that the school committee approve the minutes to the SBC Development Subcommittee meetings for August 2nd, 2022, August 31st, 2022, and September 7th, 2022, as presented.
Wonderful, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? We'll move, well, first I'll just say thank you to everyone for taking the time to work on putting that committee together. Appreciate it. And we'll move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. All right. Ongoing business. Superintendent's annual plan. You're up.
All right, so at you'll recall, your last meeting, I presented my annual plan, and I'd reiterate that, like every educator in the state of Massachusetts, I'm required to go through a evaluation cycle, which means setting goals for the 22-23 school year. And ultimately, it's the school committee's authority and responsibility to review the annual plan and make recommendations and consider it for approval. So got some good feedback at your last meeting and have submitted a version of the annual plan that is reflective of that feedback, hopefully. My intent was to offer some specificity in a few key areas. Also, to offer, the committee was eager to understand what we are doing to ensure that we have the best possible applicant pools available to us. It's a tight labor market right now, and certainly one of the tasks in front of me as superintendent is to ensure that we're being creative in our recruitment and hiring strategies. So I added an action step associated with that. Also, something that we hadn't really chatted about but has come more front and center for me in the last couple of weeks is ensuring that our website is accessible for all individuals in our community, and that's for folks with disabilities, but also for individuals whose first language is not English. We know we have some work to do in that area, and the website is our welcome mat in many ways to the wider community, and we want to make sure that it is as welcoming as possible. It's an ambitious undertaking, But I certainly can commit to researching and exploring how we can improve the accessibility of that website this year. And so, for your consideration is my 22-23 annual plan as revised for you this evening. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
And we'll open this for questions, discussion, and/or motions if none. Gianna?
Superintendent, thank you for all this, and thank you especially for, we were throwing a lot of stuff at you last meeting, and I can see it's incorporated, and it sounds like there was even more thought and information included, so thank you for that.
Other-
Appreciate all the feedback at the last meeting. It crystallized my thinking in some key areas, so very helpful.
Any other comments, questions, and/or motions? Mary?
Motion.
Go for it.
Okay. I move that the school committee approve the 2022-2023 superintendent's annual plan dated October 11th, 2022.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, thank you very much for putting this together, Dr. O'Shea. Looks
you.
great. There's a lot of really, really important, very meaningful tasks included here, and
Yeah.
lots of heavy lifts for the district.
Well, and hopefully reflective of our district goals, and I know a segue to your next agenda item, hopefully reflective of the school committee goals that were taking shape at your last meeting as well. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, we will move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. Thank you again. All right, we are moving on to school committee goals. Next up, last time we met, we saw some draft forms of our school committee goals, had some conversation, and now after that, Diane and Dr. O'Shea were kind enough to take all of that conversation and revise our goals to something a little bit pithier in spots, and we have a revision in front of us tonight. There's space for discussion and/or motions as required. Gianna?
So Diane, I messed up again and didn't send you, so I'm looking at communication and community relations,
Yep.
and I was supposed to send a number 3 about encouraging people to, and so Superintendent, I'm glad to hear that you're talking about the website, because I was supposed to send a little sentence encouraging people to visit the website and the Facebook page
For more
to see what the kids present here, we want to have people see what the kids are presenting when they're here. Sometimes if we have, an audience of 5, we want to encourage, encourage people to go to the website and go to the Facebook page. So I guess I don't know, proposing that a number 3 be added that just says encouraging community members to visit the LPS website and the LPS Facebook page.
Thoughts on that? If that is something we all agree with, Jane, could it just be added and we could still vote? And just do it as amended instead of as presented?
Exactly.
Perfect. All
Sorry
right,
about that, everybody.
So, what exactly would be the wording so we can be on the
Take a
same
crack?
page?
Maybe get
Go
us
for it.
started.
Yep.
Actively publicizing or disseminating the evidence of student presentations at school committee meetings? Is it as simple as that? Does that capture what you're saying?
I think that's like almost, it's
Yeah.
good. I'm just thinking we don't, like the event, like, that sounds a lot
Yeah,
very,
actively
formal.
publicize. Yeah.
Like, we just want people to say, go to the website and see these awesome kids.
Yeah.
I know we can't put that, but,
Yeah.
So actively publicizing student presentations
Yeah.
to the school committee?
yeah, or, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult,
No, no.
like, we more so, like, we can put it up there. We more so want to encourage people to visit the website and the Facebook page. Do we have another social media
Just Facebook, really.
presence?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say, it could be actively publicizing and encouraging people to visit the LPS website and Facebook page.
To review student presentations?
Yeah,
Student school committee presentations?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd really love to just say
Highlight and
students'
encourage.
awesomeness, but
Highlight?
Highlight and
I like
encourage
highlight.
student presentations.
I like that. Actively
Like social
highlight
media?
and, no, I think that's good because we're not the ones who are going to publicize them. So I like highlight because it makes them available and reminds us to promote and highlight those in ways that we can actively highlight. And encourage the LPS website and Facebook.
or maybe like Sue said, maybe is it just social, in case we get one?
It's called social
We
media.
could just say social media, yeah. probably.
Yeah, well,
Website and
I don't
social
know.
media.
There's something new
Never
coming
know.
every day.
You never
so-
know.
True
right.
story.
No TikTok for us.
No, thank
No
you.
TikTok.
Superintendent's going to be on
Just saying.
TikTok.
Just saying.
It's doable.
Taken.
It's doable.
So to that end, what would that consist of for us to make that happen? Would that be a pullout from the recordings that happen at meetings that would be posted? Is that posting the meetings in full on the LPS website and/or, I mean, I realize technically on the LPS website, there are links to them already. What would make the most sense on that? And what are we thinking of there? 'Cause
You could
I-
either clip it, or sometimes I've sent out an email notice saying, beginning at the 22-minute mark, you have an
Okay.
opportunity to review a student presentation on such and such. So
Oh,
you could do it-
because-
You could do it that way.
Because
Yeah,
they're
'cause
in
I
the
was
full
thinking-
recordings of the minute, of the
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
Some of them are videos anyway.
Yeah.
And some are
True.
videos that we've posted.
And when they're videos
Right.
on their
Correct.
own, that's a
Yeah.
nice
That's, I guess,
easy
what I
one.
was
Yeah.
thinking, but now you're
Good
saying that.
encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could, to make it so that we're not creating more work for other folks.
Yeah.
If they're video versions that are shown to us on the screen.
Yeah.
We post those.
Yeah.
If they are not video versions, then there's a note that says, latest school committee meeting, watch from this minute to this
Yeah.
minute to see the student
Yeah,
presentations.
sorry, I wasn't thinking about
Does that work?
that aspect
Yeah.
of
And
it.
sometimes LCTV can clip it for us. They can do that pretty easily. So we
Okay.
can work with them on that.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you for asking, Nicole.
No,
So
that's
will you
okay.
read the final wording?
Amended. Is it, we're just. Oh, no,
Just,
sorry.
what does that say? How do you?
Oh, yes. What did we land?
You want to take it?
I have actively highlight student presentations to the school committee at the LPS website and on social media.
Or actively highlighting, because they're all ing, Nicole.
What's that?
Actively highlighting, because they're all ing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good catch. Student presentations on social media. Actively highlighting student presentations to the school committee on the LPS website and social media? Yep. Okay, does that work?
Yep.
Are we all happy with that?
Thank you.
Other comments and/or motions? Reminder, if you go for the
Just a
motion, to say
very-
amended instead of presented.
Okay. Just a very small thing. Could we just put semicolons after B through E and number 2 in the curriculum goal? And instead of having assessing, promoting, and promoting be capital, could you just make them lowercase, just so they're consistent with the other goals?
It's good to have an English teacher.
I know.
I was just,
Yes, coach.
I was like, should I let it go? No, I'm
No.
gonna say.
That should be lowercase? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good? All right. Wonderful work, folks. Any other adjustments, comments?
I'm ready.
Go ahead, Mary.
I move that the school committee approve the amended school committee goals 2022-2023 dated September 27th, 2022.
Would
I
they
say
still
that
be
okay?
dated September 27th, or would we change the date to today?
It's, well, this document
We'll go with
is-
the actual document date.
Okay,
Okay, perfect. That sounds
Okay,
wonderful then.
sounds good.
Absolutely. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? We'll move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. Thank you, everyone. Nice work. Those look great. All right, new business. We have a couple of items listed for new business. Are you taking that or? is Tom?
Sure,
Okay.
happy to take, the first one is an overnight field trip request. Per your policy, the school committee is, overnight field trips cannot take place without school committee approval, and so we have a request from Long Meadow High School for students in the music program to travel to Southern California during April vacation in 2023. This is a trip that will be led by choral director Kayla Werlin and band and orchestra director Artie Tomasian, and it's an opportunity for students to travel over that April break to engage in a series of tours and workshops and rehearsals and exchanges, and a very rich opportunity for students to engage and see some sights in Los Angeles mainly. So for your consideration, the dates and the itinerary are in your packet along with the associated costs.
Wonderful. Questions or comments going in? Yes, Tegan.
So as one of the students who will be going on this trip, hopefully, one, we all really want to go because Lyrics has not been able to go on a trip for some time now due to the pandemic. and
Basically, your whole high school career.
Basically my whole high
Yeah.
school career, so really waiting for this.
Yeah.
But two, like Dr. O'Shea said, it's kind of more, it's going to be, from what I've heard, is going to be more than just like a trip. We're going to expand as musicians, expand as a group during these tours, these concerts, and these workshops. So it's not just, we get a free-for-all. We're actually going to do valuable work for ourselves as musicians and for the music program. So that's why I would say this is a very valuable trip that you guys should definitely approve.
Thank you. Other questions?
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
They-
Gianna.
Groups have gone they've gone across the ocean, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So this is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? I have a question. There's a lot of different numbers happening on the bottom here. Which ones are the closest to the reality? Are we looking at land only with insurance or total with 2020 voucher? Is that a voucher
I think it's a 2020.
left over, or is that meant to say 2022?
I think that's the way I understood it, and I could get clarification on this, is that was an air travel voucher. Is that the way you're reading that?
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah.
So they have a credit to
Yeah.
start out.
So that would include, so for example, the 90 tour participants, where it says total with 2020 voucher of $2,195, would include the $649 for air travel because it's including the voucher, or is separate from that?
I think it's reflective, the way I understood it,
The
it's
first one.
reflective of the air travel along with a voucher that must have been a holdover from a 2020 canceled trip.
Gotcha. Tom's nodding his head
That's
along.
what I interpreted
Yeah,
too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what,
All right, perfect. Other questions? How exciting is it to be able to talk about field trips again? Come on, that's fantastic. Very exciting. All right, barring any further questions or discussions, we have a motion in front of us.
Yes, I do have a question.
Go for it.
So there are opportunities to fundraise for this, or
Yes.
how do kids pay for this?
They'll pay out of pocket, but there's going to be some fundraising activities that would potentially lower the costs that you're seeing here.
Okay.
And Ms. Werlin would say that she works with families that are having trouble making ends meet with that, to make it as accessible as possible to them, given the the fundraising and her access to some donations that the music department has received. So they stretch themselves to apply whatever generosity they get from the community via fundraisers or direct donations. In the past, they've received donations specifically targeted at sort of scholarships for students to participate in these tours. So,
Turns out I have one more question too before you make your motion. I might just have missed this somewhere, but is this a trip that we're offering for all grade levels? Is this, you mentioned something about the senior class, which just clicked.
Yeah.
Wondering if it's just the senior class? Is it all the music department?
From what I
for-
know, and I do not quote me on this, I believe this is a lyrics-only trip. So
It
that'd
says
be
lyrics.
I think it's orchestra.
And wind
yeah, it does have
ensemble and
with it as
orchestra.
well.
Yeah.
So that would be students
Mixed.
in all grade levels in said
In those
classes.
groups,
who are-
lyrics, wind ensemble, and orchestra.
Yeah.
All
So
of
it is
those.
a whole music department
Okay,
trip, yeah.
so they might actually get to the 90 or 100 participants,
They
is what I was
very well could.
curious about. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, in theory, I guess you might be able to even with just seniors, depending on how many folks are participating in those groups, but, okay. Other questions, comments, / motions? Go for it, Mary.
I move on the recommendation of the superintendent that the school committee approve the overnight field trip request for students from Longmeadow High School's lyrics, wind ensemble, and orchestra to travel to Los Angeles, California on April 17th, 2023 through April 22nd, 2023.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? We will move to a roll call vote. Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. Enjoy.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing all about it. Ooh, maybe we can get a little
You
presentation
guys really
afterwards.
support the Longmeadow Music Fruit Sale coming up this winter?
There we go.
Plenty of grapefruits. right?
Really? Grapefruits, oranges?
All right, our next item on
Fruit years.
new business is related to the acceptance of a gift, and I think that's you again.
Per school committee policy, the committee were unable to accept a gift that alters the grounds unless it is reviewed and approved by the school committee. And so, consistent with that, bringing to you tonight a recommendation to accept a donation of a statue of a runner that would be placed in front of the cross-country record board out by our concession stand. And in your packet, you've seen a small sort of rendering of that running statue. And what we like about it is that it is really truly a celebration, something that's reflective of celebration of our track and cross-country athletes. You'll see that the statue would be life-size almost in the shape of a silhouette shape of a female runner. And so it is representative of, I think, a strong, powerful runner, and it's a good opportunity for us to celebrate the importance of track and cross-country to this community. And certainly with the death of Kat Boscovich back in June, it was a reminder that the track and cross-country teams are very meaningful and supportive of the entire community. And so this is a great opportunity for us to celebrate the track and cross-country athletes with a life-size silhouette-shaped statue to be placed in front of the concession stand by the record board that is affixed to the concession stand. So it has my recommendation, and the final details only crystallized recently, and so this is for your consideration. They are hoping to get moving on this to get it in the ground before the ground is frozen over. Mr. Mazza met with DPW and our girls cross-country coaches, Chris Kervian and Marianne Smith, to review the placement of the statue to ensure that we didn't have any concerns about the location and the install. And I'm told that Nick Gigantis has assured us that DPW can dig the hole that is required. They could do it safely, and that he concurred that it would be a good location for the silhouette statue that is proposed for you. So for your consideration and potential approval.
We'll open the floor to any questions, comments? Jana?
I'm struggling, I mean, I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I'm, like, this, everything about this is beautiful, and especially, like Superintendent said, empowerment, strength. I don't know how to ask it, or if I'm even asking it correctly. The silhouette depicts, like, one vision of a young woman, and I don't know how I would, don't feel like every young woman is represented by this particular silhouette, especially like different hairstyles, different, I don't know how to rectify it, and I wasn't even sure how to bring it up, but this is the final artistic creation, right?
It hasn't been produced. It really is only conceptual at this stage, and if the committee felt like it needed some additional work or some additional consideration, or you wanted me to convey some feedback to the cross-country team, then we certainly could do that. I understand what you're saying, that, we want installations like this to be uplifting and celebratory, but welcoming to all. And
Right.
so I think they hope that they've achieved that with this.
Yeah.
But if the committee wanted us to bring some feedback back to the donors and back to the Vermont artist that has, put this rendering together, then we could do that.
So
We
this
have
is-
seen, we've seen small versions of it, but the actual one that would be placed in front of the concession stand has not yet been produced, so that this is only conceptual at this stage.
Okay, 'cause I guess I'm just, what's occurring to me is the hair, like,
Yep.
we've got young women who have different hairstyles, and I'm not trying to be difficult, I just,
Yep.
and I wouldn't sacrifice my love for this whole project
Yep.
concept for that, but the population that I work with just,
Sure.
has a different silhouette,
Yep.
so.
Dave?
Just building off of Gianna's point, this, like I said, I actually don't have the agenda in front of me, so I actually
Oh.
have not seen it yet.
Sorry.
Is it
But-
okay to give it to the superintendent?
Is there
Yeah.
any way, 'cause I don't want to make sure I've got all my ducks in a row, that this is somewhat celebratory of Kat Boswick? And
Yes.
that way, okay, so
Yeah.
in that way, like to your point, Jana, you want the statute to be inclusive, but if it's meant to be celebratory of a specific woman, the likeness should be of that specific person.
Right.
So if the statue was only like to be just encompassing the entire program, I would agree with you. But if it's supposed to have specific relevance to Kat Boswick, it should look similar to what she looked like.
Yeah, that wasn't conveyed to me, though, in this.
Okay,
It
yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, it's meant to be sort of timeless and celebratory.
Okay.
I mean, anytime, frankly, when a member of our community passes, there's always folks who would like to figure out ways to remember that person. And I think this is a way to do that is timeless and celebratory, as opposed to something that is more of a memorial. And so it is meant to, for those who were close to Kat, I suppose it would evoke her memory. But, I think the thought of the design team here is that this is something that will stand the test of time and can be reflective of the importance of the track and cross-country community, for many, many, many years to come. So I think that's the hope and intention. But again, if the committee felt this needed some longer consideration, or you wanted to invite back the design team to talk to you about this, or the folks that are sponsoring this donation, you could do that. But I do like that it is, an appropriate, timeless, statue and something that I think decades from now would be well-placed. But I understand that, I think, you know, you're asking some really important questions, Gianna, so I appreciate that.
Follow up. Julie?
To Gianna's point, I think it would just be helpful to know that, like, the students on the track team find this to be, whatever, so as celebratory as we're hoping it is. I was just wondering if there's like a plaque or anything, or is it literally just the statue?
Just the statue, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Jamie?
Yeah, just, Marty, on those individuals that are donating this, is this what their intent was, or what we're saying their intent was? Are they trying for this to be more of a memorial? The only reason why I'm asking is obviously awful tragedy, but this is coming about because of something that was pretty awful. It probably wouldn't have come about if it didn't happen. So is their intent for this to be a memorial? Whoever's donating this?
I'll do my best to represent my conversations with these folks. So I'd say their intent was for this to be something that was uplifting and celebratory and something that, given its placement next to the record board, that it would be inspirational to athletes in the years ahead. Having said that, it certainly does. It will, in a good way, I'd say, evoke Kat's memory for those who were close to her. So it's not intended to be a memorial in the traditional sense of the word, but it would give those who were close to Kat an opportunity to reflect on her spirit, I would say. But mainly it's meant to be a celebration of our track and cross-country athletes.
Just as a follow-up to that, if it's okay, Nicole?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, just as, I guess, I kind of looked at it, I loved the look of it, and I thought it was super appropriate, and obviously had quite a bit of likeness to other photos that I've seen, so that's what I assumed it was whenever I saw it. So obviously whoever designed that had some sort of photo or something that they were using to design that it doesn't just come out of the blue. So it just, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I see what you're saying, Gianna. I just don't know whether we're going to capture, every different, individual, in that way. I think the fact that it is a little bit of likeness to something that's, going to be a little bit memorialized, but also celebrate the program. I really liked it. So just from my 2 cents.
Further comments? So I'll just pause to remind us before we move forward that we are not obligated to move to a vote on it tonight. If we feel we'd like a little bit more time to sit with or reflect, that is also absolutely acceptable. And or if we have further questions and want follow-up, that's also okay too. Dagan.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Jamie and the superintendent were saying. I see what you're saying, Gianna. Perfectly great statement. And it's kind of a weird area because it's like Dr. O'Shea said, it's not a memoriam in the traditional sense, but it will invoke those feelings. And I feel like we're in that kind of totem line gray area of, is it going to be a traditional memoriam, which it's not, but it's going to evoke those feelings? Is it going to be inspirational? So I believe someone made a comment earlier that we get some feedback from the athletes in said program and see what they have to say about it. Some of them did know Kat, so some of them will want it because of those feelings. Others who did not know her will want it as that inspiration. So I think it would be my recommendation that table this for now. Even I will go out to the students, because that's my job, and speak to them and see what their feelings are about the matter, and then we can revisit this.
Thank you, Dagan. Further thoughts? Gianna, go ahead.
Oh, no, you want to go ahead? Very sure.
I'm still trying to, I guess, figure out how I want to say this, but when I received the notes for this meeting and opened the images, my first thought was, oh, it's Kat, you know, and when I read the email, it doesn't mention Kat, and so I had reached out to Dr. O'Shea to say because it doesn't, in the proposal, say what the purpose is, and so I had asked, is it a memorial, is it to honor athletes? You know, at the beginning of this meeting, Gianna and I both talked about the spirit of the runners, which is, you know, and for those of us who knew Kat, her spirit was celebratory, and she was an upbeat inspiration to the kids that she ran with. And so I don't know. I also wonder about athletes who are still struggling, and this on our track and field, will it be comforting? Are they ready to have this there? What is her family's perspective? I also had some questions about that. Jamie, I agree with you. I do think that this is a beautiful rendering. I can see Gianna without having an explicit connection to Kat. How well is this truly inclusive if we're representing all body types and all shapes, and we want to have an inclusive community? And as time passes, if there isn't a direct connection, is that obvious? In the description, it also mentions, you know, we are planning on some minor landscaping around the statue with black shiny rocks, and we know that there are rocks in memory of Kat, and that was a theme that came up during her services. And then there's a small unveiling of the statue with the girls' cross-country team, their parents, and friends of the cross-country team. So I do have some questions about that. I do think it is a beautiful way to honor Kat and her memory, but I do want to make sure that our students are ready for this, and that it is not a triggering thing that becomes, even if our intention is that it's celebratory, that it's that we're true to that intention, I guess.
Thank you. Did you have anything, Tim?
Well, I was just, I mean, you know, and Jamie, thank you. I totally hear everybody. I do think it's a beautiful silhouette. I think it's going to be inspirational. And I with Mary, yes, I looked to Kat, like Kat to me, but there was no mention of Kat, so that's why my brain was going to, all right, if we're trying to be inclusive of all body types and all hairstyles, I think, so we don't know if they asked the cross-country kids about this. We don't have that information.
I do not know if
Okay.
they've had direct conversations with the students about it, but I guess I'd recommend, it sounds like it might need a little more time, and if you'd like to, I could gather whatever information you need to make an informed decision, or we can invite the sponsors of this to come to your next meeting. I'd say, we could still, even with the potential for frost and freezing,
Yeah.
get this,
Hopefully.
By the
yeah.
25th or
Yeah.
24th.
Yeah.
That still gives time.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's some further conversation to be had, and maybe some reflection and thought about what we'd like to hear from community and et cetera. So I think that's a good call. Yep, Zach.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because as I sit here wrestling with some of the competing emotions and hopes and desires and dreams and wishes here, which are all incredibly honorable and valuable and valid, the tension I think I'll just need time with, so I appreciate the opportunity to table and reflect a bit further, is on the one hand trying to intentionalize in a timeless and celebratory way the memory of somebody that after a generation may not hold as much meaning, yet we will have memorialized and held up an archetype or a body type that will be solidifying in a perhaps less inclusive way for future generations, a statue that we've put out there. And so what I find myself wondering is there's a way to sort of marry the two by an explicit mention, and the folks that are perhaps philanthropically supportive here. This wasn't their initial hope or desire, but I wonder if we could, there's a way to sort of balance the two by calling out how this statue represents the spirit and the determination and the embodiment of a Longmeadow athlete that this individual, and calling it out by name, represents, in a way that honors them a little bit more intentionally without leaving the unintentionality of holding up a specific archetype or body type for future generations that might not be able to draw that same connection. Open musing.
Thank you very much. Definitely thoughtful things for us to consider, so
All right.
we'll return in the future. Oh, Julie, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see
I
you.
just wanted to say, because I know Marty's going to try to do some fact finding for us, but it seems like the things that we heard were, how do the students feel about it? How, if it, I think we're all assuming at this point it is a memory of Kat, like how her family feels about it, if they're supportive of it. And then maybe to Zach's point, also, I think Mary mentioned, like, is there an openness to putting some context around it, or is this like the idea that it's timeless really important?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice summary, Julie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to, for myself, I'm sure everybody else is thinking, I just want to say for myself that, the concept is beautiful, the thoughtfulness is beautiful and appreciated, and, for speaking for myself, I am not in any way saying it's a beautiful idea, it's a great concept, and I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah. We all appreciate this coming in front of us. It is lovely, and the sentiments behind it are lovely as well. And our intention with moving it forward is nothing more than ensuring that we come to a decision that reflects the community at large over generations to come. All right. Thank you very much. We are going to move forward to an executive session, and we have a recommended motion on that. Oh. Official motion person tonight.
I move that the school committee meet in executive session pursuant to MGLC 30A21A, purpose to conduct a strategy session in preparation with collective bargaining with units A, F, H, and purpose, consideration of release of executive session minutes of previous meetings, and to not reconvene into open session.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Reminder that this motion is to not reconvene into open session, so we will say goodnight to all who are viewing after our vote. All right, Jamie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Gianna?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a lovely evening.